When it comes to old school motorcycles, I'm always excited to engage in a conversation about them. So imagine how I felt when a friend of mine told me he had just restored a Yamaha TDR 250. I was in my homeland Greece last summer of 2025. My friend Panayotis told me that he had just restored a Yamaha TDR 250, and of course I asked him to show me. He did an amazing job with it, given it was an absolute wreck. So bad that most people wouldn't even look at it. But with patience, skill, and a bit of help from friends, he managed to restore this wonderful motorcycle. The engine was restored by Panayotis' beloved friend Stelios, a TDR engine specialist. You can find more info at Telix Moraitis. The TDR 250 was a dual sports motorcycle. It was manufactured from 1988 until 1993. Just before its official launch, a TDR 250 prototype was entered into the Pharaoh's Rally, a grueling desert race held in Egypt over 11 days and covering some 4,800 kilometers. The bike took the win in the prototype class, and just as the news broke, the production model went on sale. I don't know if that helped Yamaha with the sales of the model, as the total number of TDRs sold is not widely documented, and thus the number is not available, but I assume that it did help. Yamaha designed the TDR to provide agile handling and quick acceleration, both on and off the road, and power delivery was modified to suit its intended use. So in order to design the TDR 250, Yamaha took riders to the Hokkaido island in Japan, along with 4 motorcycles, 2 road motorcycles, the TZR 250 and the RD 250, and 2 off-road motorcycles, the DT 200 and the XT 2250. They let them ride in various roads around the island and collected their experiences to identify all the pros and cons. The target was quick acceleration and agile handling, a motorcycle that performs great in both street and dirt. After they had what they required, they proceed to create the first of its category motorcycle, a dual sport. The engine and most of the electrical was there, directly taken from the TZR 250 with a few modifications. 2-stroke, parallel twin, liquid-cooled with a reed valve in the crankcase and YPVS on the exhaust port. The first gear ratio was changed for better acceleration and off-road traction. The expansion chambers of the exhaust were upswept in order to give a lot of ground clearance for safe off-road riding. To add to that, the exhausts were tuned for low and mid-range power. The engine was fueled by the same as the TZR, 2 Mikunis TM28SS flat slide that have been rejected for the TDR. The TDR shared the same orthogonal engine mounting system as the TZR that reduces vibration. Having a CDI with a digital advanced timing system made the TDR the first 2-stroke motorcycle in the world to carry such a system. All that contributed to a top speed over 160 km per hour. Some mentioned 175 km per hour. Since there's minimal protection from the air and the rider is pretty much a parachute sitting on a motorcycle, even 160 km per hour sounds great. As for power delivery, most people and Yamaha are reporting 45 PS at 9,500 RPM and 3.6 kilograms of torque at 8,500 RPM. There was another 240cc engine version that was made specifically for the French market. No matter how hard I researched, I was unable to find out why. All I found out was the fact that in France they had the TDR Cup, a series of races on tracks designed with approximately 75% road and 25% dirt sections. Was that engine made for the TDR Cup series? Was it a government regulation that had to limit the horsepower? I don't know. If someone has any information on that, please leave a comment below. I'd love to learn more about it. The frame was a double cradle made from steel, and it was light and strong with high rigidity. The frame design also considered how the attached car-style fairing and the weight distribution would affect handling, moving components like the rev counter to minimize front-end inertia and improve its performance characteristics, even though the position of the rev counter doesn't seem to be convenient for the rider. Short wheelbase at 1384mm with a caster of 27 degrees and 114mm trail make the TDR handling quickly on the road. On the dirt, things may change. To many riders, the steering seems to be heavier on the dirt. The front suspension has 38mm air-assisted forks with a travel of 160mm and adjustable preload. The rear monocross suspension travels just 150mm and it's controlled by a gas oil shock absorber. In various tests, many had reported that problem with the short rear suspension travel when entered the dirt. That was a clear indication that the claim of being a dual sport bike was not accurate. Well, it was, but road mostly, like 95% road, 5% dirt mostly. The dry weight was as low as 137 kilograms and would go only up to 153 kilograms with all fluids. The front brake has a 4-pot opposed piston caliper and one 320mm floating disc, while the rear brake has a 210mm disc with a 2-pot opposed piston caliper. It has spoked wheels with alloy rims, 18-inch at the front and 17-inch at the rear. Tire sizes 110 by 90 by 18 at the front and 120 by 80 by 17 at the rear. The Dakar type fairing is mounted on the fuel tank. The fuel tank contains 14 liters of fuel and a negative pressure activated fuel tap. You probably couldn't go that far if you have to drive in the city, as the engine would consume around 1 liter of fuel every 8 kilometers. But if you want to go for a cruise, this would almost double up to 15 kilometers per liter, which again it's not much, but hey, this is a 2-stroke engine we're talking about. The seat is quite comfortable and there are handles for the passenger to hold on to. Not sure if the under the seat exhaust pipes would make the passenger smell like a smoked barbecue, but they did not affect me when I rode it. When I took the TDR for a ride, I was thinking that it's been a while since the last time I rode a 2-stroke motorcycle. The TDR had good acceleration at low RPMs and I found that just satisfactory. Then I thought I'll give it a bit more to see how it goes. And oh my god, after 6000 RPM, this thing was flying. I underestimated it for a few seconds and here it was punishing my wrists as I was trying to hold on to the steering wheel. After that first shocking reminder, I knew what to expect. Inside the city, the TDR was exactly what everyone was saying it was. Light, agile and very fun to ride. It felt so light, and it was. The only minus I found, if I can call it one, were the brakes. When they heat up under repeated braking and under the 40 plus Celsius of the Greek summer, they lack on braking ability. Maybe changing the brake pads to sintered or semi-sintered will help. On the freeway, things got free. However, like other naked motorcycle with minimal protection from the wind, I felt like a parachute after 140 km per hour. The small windscreen doesn't do much. But you know what? I couldn't care less about that. I was riding one of Yamaha's 2-stroke motorcycles from the 80s. I was riding a piece of motorcycle history. Very strong. Acceleration, rapid, just like that. It goes really, really, really quick. At 6000 RPM, it just flies. I mean, if you underestimate that bike, you're gonna be lying on the ground with a broken bone somewhere in your body or worse. Don't underestimate it. All in all, the TDR250 is an old school motorcycle. When you hear 80s and 90s motorcycles, your mind translates obsolete, and it probably is. It drinks a lot, and being two-stroke, it smokes twice as much. For someone to buy one of them today, it may sound absolutely unreasonable and crazy. Fair enough, I wouldn't expect anyone to understand or appreciate this motorcycle's purpose, role or history. This is why it is nowadays directed to only those who lived in that era, who inhaled a lot of burnt two-stroke oil and spent numerous hours trying to clean their exhausts and their carburetors. It's for the people who want to keep their memories alive. Thanks for watching my video. Don't forget to like the video or subscribe to the channel. And please leave a comment. Have you ever had a TDR 250? Have you ever rode one? How was it? Let me know in the comments. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next one.